Hi everybody, it's Ryan from Ryviews.com, and today I'm doing the next part in my Creeper World 3 tips and tricks videos, this time focusing on my weapons. So you can see here, I've left off right where I've started right where I left off in the building Let's Play. Not Let's Play, whoopsie doodle. As you can see right here, I've resumed right where I left off from the previous tips and tricks video. I'm going to highlight some of the weapons I'm going to use here to defend myself. So first off, this mortar cannon will shoot at the densest creeper it can find, okay, like the deepest. And it will shoot a little pool, and it is really effective against heights. Okay, that's why it shoots at that the most, the highest area. It's really effective against kind of the encroaching creeper. Not super effective if it's getting like all up really, really close to your base. It is very useful for long-term defense. So I usually start off with a few of those on the forefront. The blaster is the next one that you always want to make sure you're using. Blaster is great for immediate defense. It's bad for long-term strategy because it cannot counteract high levels of creeper, but it's great at hitting creeper back whenever it's getting close to your buildings. So you want to have a good combination of these two types when you're actually doing your full-on buildings and defenses. But for right now, I'm just starting off with a few. And for the purposes of this video, I'm trying to kind of highlight different ones. So for the most part, for long-term strategy, I like having one little mortar cannon above each little collector and having two blasters in between that, if that makes any sense. So this will be the general pattern. I'll have mortar, blaster, blaster, mortar. And you'll see that in more detail later. Over here, if you're noticing on the right, I'm going to bump up the speed a bit because this is taking way too damn long. I'm going to pause again, place some buildings, and keep going. So next weapon is the Strafer, which is the little aerial vehicle which you can build and it will go attack anywhere on the map. It's not particularly powerful, but it is still useful. Move some of these blasters back because they're wasting some unnecessary energy right now. Yeah, so if you can see here, I'm trying to place mortars so that they'll stop any kind of creeper that's going up anywhere near my base. It's important to keep track of all different areas of entry. You also usually want to place some blasters kind of as a second line of defense. That way they're only active if you need them to be. That way they aren't going to be wasting energy for you. So the Strafer here, you can send them to basically anywhere on the map unless there's this shielding thing. You can't attack if the shield is open. Okay, that's what this little building is with the box. You can't send aerial units there. But this guy is strafing now with some bullets. That's what he's doing. As you can see, he's not being very effective. It's useful close to your map, or close to your base, and it's also useful in large numbers. You usually build like 9 or 10 to send at once. That starts getting useful, but for the most part, they're not super useful. The Bomber will deliver anti-creeper, which is done by using ore, so I can't do that yet, I don't have any. But I'll get to that later. You can see here, I'm still using my Terp to build up some more stuff for myself here. I'm basically extending my landing pad for all my buildings. I'll basically usually make a box for myself, and I'll build from that. Not necessarily a done deal, but that's usually how I operate. And you can move him forward. Usually, and one of the reasons I picked this map is because I'll be able to do this pretty easily. There are some maps, obviously, we don't really have time or the ability to build something so nice and square. So I'm going to take advantage of that in this map. That's one of the reasons I picked it. The Nullifier is how you destroy bad guys. So you have to place it next to a node, or this little defender guy, or this Nullifier, which is how you win this map. You have to destroy this Nullifier. And you power it. It's expensive, and you have to power it with ammo. So it's kind of difficult until you're able to upgrade. If you have these upgrades, you're able to build it pretty fast because you can upgrade the speed of building and then the speed of which packets send. But otherwise, it takes forever to build those things. So you want to make sure you don't try to do that too early. Otherwise, you might bite yourself in the ass wasting energy trying to build it. The Sprayer is the same as the Bomber, except it just shoots. It's like a blaster cannon that shoots anti-creeper. So once again, I'll get to that later once I actually start mining anti-creeper, mining the ore. I haven't done that yet. Nothing's in my starting area. The Beam Cannon, which you can see here, I'm not going to build because there's no spores on this map, but the Beam Cannon is your SAM site. Okay? It is your way to defend against aerial attacks. It is the only weapon that can defend against the aerial attacks, and it is the only, and it can't defend against ground attacks. Okay, you know, it's only for aerial attacks, and it's the only one that can do that. Similarly, the sniper, which you'll see here on the bottom right, is only for attacking little minion guys that get spawned, which there are none on this map, so I'll show you that in other tips and tricks. Basically, there's little white guys that get spawned in a little hatch area, and there'll be little nuisances that can disable your buildings. Okay, it's very frustrating. So, as I said, luckily not in this map, but the sniper is pretty useful against them. And you basically, it's a must-have whenever those little guys are there, because they're going to really screw you up otherwise. But the sniper makes short work of them, and it's useful for that and only that. The same as the beam cannon, it's only for one purpose, and it does that one purpose very well, but it is not at all helpful in other scenarios, so that's why I'm not building them right now. You also have two titans. One is a forge, which I'm going to build right now, which lets you research upgrades. It's useful, but it's a 5x5 building, which is frustrating, so it doesn't really fit into my grid. So obviously the planner in me gets really frustrated by that. And the other is the Big Bertha cannon, which is called Bertha, but I call it Big Bertha because why not? And I'll show you that in a little while when I have more energy to spare. Right now I don't want to overextend myself too badly. I'm also going to send this little strafer guy closer to home. So you can see here, the creeper's getting close, but it's not really having any kind of serious impact on my base yet. So luckily it's not a huge problem. It can become a bigger problem later, which is why I'm trying to plan ahead with more reactors and more defenses. But that's why you don't want to front load your defenses. You want to have some of these blasters in the back. In case things get bad, you want to be able to defend, but then otherwise you want to also not be wasting energy in the time you don't need to defend that. It's like right now, up here, this mortar is keeping the stuff in check. But over here, you know, it's getting kind of closer, so I might want to build more defenses. But otherwise, up here, I don't need that blaster anywhere near the front, so I'm not going to put him there. Here, I'm getting starved because I don't have enough energy. So it's important to remember not to starve yourself. You're able to disable and deactivate buildings. Okay? If you disarm, it'll still keep it at full ammo. If you deactivate, it'll just stop working altogether. And stop resupply will let it keep going, but you won't keep giving it ammo, which I don't use very often. So you want to remember that you don't want to starve yourself too badly, because if you starve yourself, you aren't going to be able to give ammo to your weapons, and that means your weapons will stop firing, and obviously you're going to die if that happens. So it's important to remember it's a big no-no. So here are the upgrades. You have these three upgrades, which can be upgraded infinitely, so that's always useful. It's mostly about storage capacity. And here you have energy efficiency, which I'm going to upgrade, and see it. There's a huge bump in my energy collection because it upgrades the efficiency. Here is ore efficiency, which is when you're mining. Here is build speed, which is useful for when you are trying to build things. It's able to speed up the building process and build stuff really fast. But be careful, because that means it's going to take more energy. Same with these guys. So move speed doesn't require any more energy, just moving stuff faster, like weapons. But the fire rate is great because you're starting to fire faster, but it means you use a lot more ammo. So I always recommend upgrading your energy a lot before you upgrade fire rate or build speed. And then fire range increases the range with which you're doing things, which is great for the mortars, because that means you can target a better pool. But sometimes if you have close creeper towards you, it's actually better to have smaller range, because then you'll be attacking the stuff that's immediate threat. So that's one of the other reasons why I recommend building stuff that's not quite in the range of fire, so that way as you upgrade the range, it will still attack stuff that is imminently a threat, rather than attacking faraway things just because you can reach it now. So that's the end of my building talk. I'll keep going with some more strategy tips later on, and I'm going to kind of get farther on in this level before I do part 3 of the buildings, which is when I'll show you some of those more specialized things like the ore kind of mining and the anti-creeper use. So look forward to that. Thanks for watching, everybody. Visit www.ryviews.com for more content, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.